All right, we're back working on the red wagon, and of course the AC just kicks on, so my audio may not be very good, but hopefully with the microphone it is a lot better. And I made sure it was plugged in this time, so this should be working. There's like a little green dot that tells me that this is working, and I never even noticed that before. But so hopefully we won't have any more issues with my audio not working. So anyway, I could not find my power steering pump, so I reached out to a buddy of mine, Patrick, and I was like, hey, do you have a power steering pump? He's like, yeah, sure. And I was like, well, would it be better to switch to a manual rack? He's like, yeah, I got one actually, it's brand new. I was like, okay. So I bought that from him. But then I found my power steering pump, but it won't turn. I don't know why. But another issue I'm having is the rack and pinion, the tube right there, it is thinner than the manual rack. And I need a bracket, like a U bracket that goes up underneath for a manual rack in order to put that in. I'm gonna try to get this thing to turn. I don't know if it's seized or what. So what I'm doing right now is I'm putting my bracket in. I'm going to bolt that in, and then that way maybe I can turn it and free it up. I've been soaking it with PB Blaster. Maybe that'll work, maybe not. But another thing, I mean, I'm definitely going to do a manual rack swap eventually, but before I park this car, I got brand new tires and a full alignment. I really don't want to mess with my alignment. I think I'm just going to try to get the power steering pump to work and go with that. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm bolting in my bracket for my power steering pump. Once we get that done, we'll be right back. All right, so I got my bracket bolted in, but there's a bolt that goes down here and then over here. I can't get it in, and I guess it dawned on me, I had my head milled, and so I guess it's not as tall, and the holes do not line up with the block. So I guess the tolerances are pretty tight there. You would think that they would kind of oval out these holes, that way you could get a bolt in there, just because, you know, maybe one day you will have to get a new head gasket and you'll have to mill the head. So I think I'm just going to stick with the top two bolts. I don't see that being a problem. And again, eventually I'm going to remove it all and just put a manual rack in the car. So we're just going to leave it with those two bolts and not put the bottom two in. All right, so I just stuck it in my vise, and that's not the right one. But I just had it in my hand. There it is. I stuck it in the vise and I was able to break it free. It really wasn't even that difficult. We got this broke free. Now we need to clean out all the PB Blaster, and then we can put it on the car. But I want to go ahead and get the AC routed first because there's a lot more room here. And then I still need to get the belt for the alternator hooked back up. So let me take care of that first. Okay, so I'm trying to loosen this, but it's like, I don't know, it's not loosening up. It's like almost gonna break. Here's my new pulley here, but I need this to loosen because I don't have another long bolt for this. I have this piece and I have another bracket somewhere. Not sure where, but I do. I don't know where in the hell it went, but I have another bracket and I have another bolt, but I don't have this long piece. I've dug around and I can't find one. So I'm struggling with this, but I've been sitting here soaking it. Hopefully it'll break free. But right now, what I'm about to do is vacuum the system, and I'm worried about these because I helicoiled these, and hopefully they'll work. They tighten down, but I hope they don't leak from here. So we're going to vacuum this down. We should have like a negative pressure. Should pop up down here. We're going to vacuum it for about 45 minutes, maybe an hour, and then let it sit and see if we lose our vacuum. All right, we're going to let this vacuum down, and hopefully we can get this bolt loose. I wonder if there's one in here. I got all kinds of shit in here. Oh look, a bitch pin. Oh well, I'm gonna have to look around. Hopefully I can find one to replace that. Alright, so I've decided to use some heat on this just because when I turn it, it just twists the bolt and I don't want it to break, so we're gonna add a little heat. Hopefully this breaks it free. It seems to be kind of working. A little bit more heat. Let's let that cool down and do it again, because the bolt is like, all right, we added more heat and then we doused it with PB Blaster and she's coming loose. That bolt is hot. All right, we got that out. It does appear to be bent a little bit, like right in here, but I don't think that's much to worry about. All right, so we got the bolt cleaned up, and then we cleaned up the bracket quite a bit. One day I would like to, when I get a garage, just like completely take this entire car apart, every single bolt, everything, and just completely restore it. That's a dream of mine, because I love this car. I really do. Man, I love the Beagle, but for some reason, this car just, it's my heart. I love it. I am definitely emotionally attached to this car. If anything were to ever happen to it, I would be crushed. Anyway, let's get this bracket on there, and that way we can get our AC belt put on. Then we need to get our radiator put back in. That way, once we get to the point to where we can start adding refrigerants, which is in another video, because I made that all by itself, then we can start it up and hopefully the AC is working. All right, so as far as this goes, this isn't the right bolt. This is actually the other bracket. But this goes in the back like this. This mounts the two bolts to the mount. And then that way when you tighten this, it'll draw it up and down to tighten and loosen the belt. Now, it has this collar. That'll go on first. And then your pulley, the open side, goes in. And then you have this piece. Then you have a washer, and then your nut. So that's how it pieces together. I hope that's clear. And then you tighten it down, but you don't want to tighten this down too tight. You want to tighten, get the belt on there, and then adjust the height of the belt or the tension of the belt, and then tighten this one. So I'm going to do all that in there, and then we'll be back. Alright, so we got our tensioner on there. And like I said, you want to tighten the tensioner, bring it up to tighten the belt before you tighten the 14 millimeter on the actual pulley. I'll tell you what, I struggle with that one. If you have a ratcheting wrench, that'll fit, because the socket won't fit on there. You don't have enough space between the frame rail and that. If you have a ratcheting wrench, that would help out a lot. I don't, but the longer wrench helped out quite a bit. I just laid under the car and tightened it down, but I struggled. But it's been like an hour, so we're going to shut this off, and then we'll let that sit for another hour to make sure it's not leaking. And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and get the power steering pump installed, and the belt, the radiator, and I'm gonna start it up and add the coolant. And then once we're done with all that, then we'll finish up with the AC. But like I said again, the AC is a totally separate video on its own. I feel like that's important enough to separate it. Alright, so we got our power steering pump hooked up, we got our radiator, and our fan for the condenser. Now I need to wire up the plug, but I'm not sure if this is the correct way. So the wire on the power side is black and then blue. So we have our black and green, and then the fan has the black and blue. So I'm pretty sure this is hooked up correctly. I just need to solder this and shrink wrap it. But I'm afraid to go ahead and do this and it be backwards. I guess I'm just not going to hook this up right now, and we'll get antifreeze put in, which I don't have any antifreeze. I just have water, which sucks. I'm not going to AutoZone right now to get antifreeze. So we're just going to add water for right now and then drain it once we get antifreeze. So let me find my overflow and the radiator cap and the bubbler thing, and then we'll start her up and finish this job, hopefully. Alright, so she's almost ready to go. I'm just going to lower her down, get her off of the jack stands. And we lower her. She's officially off jack stands. How about that? Alright, let me get some water and we'll start her up. That sun is like in the worst place. Alright, that's a little better. Am I recording? Yes, I'm recording. I hope the audio is working. We're going to add some water, make sure nothing's leaking. It's like we still got a leak. What the fuck? I think it's that lower radiator hose. No? Does my radiator just have a hole in it? Seriously? I think my radiator just has a hole in it. It's a Skunk 2 radiator too. And it's, I mean, barely used. Alright, well this is a fail. Alright, yep, my radiator has a hole in it. Right there. That sucks. I'm sure it can be fixed. Yeah, that fucking blows.